Welcome to part 3 of my Thailand series, and in part 1 and 2, we covered the general sex culture in Thailand and took a deep dive into the red light industry. But today, we're looking at what everyone else is doing. What does intimacy look like outside of the red light district? What are kids actually learning in school? And what are everyday couples struggling with in the bedroom? Now, I had the privilege of sitting down with local sexual health experts and clinical sexologists, and it's surprising to realize that Thai people are navigating the exact same bedroom challenges that we face back home. Now, if you're new here, hello, my name is Ali. Welcome to my channel. And on this platform, we have some casual conversations about sex, relationships, and other fun stuff. And I am also a sex education student with the Sexual Health Alliance. So I love coming on here and sharing with you all the interesting and spicy things I'm learning about my body, about sex, about relationships, and also culturally as well, because I love to travel and I love to see how sexual attitudes differ across the world, because they do. What's looked at as okay and legal in one part of the world is definitely not okay in another part of the world. And I find that so interesting. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about what kids in Thailand are actually learning in school when it comes to sex. And spoiler alert, it ain't that much. And this was also confirmed by the clinical sexologist that I met at Dr. Clitoria, which I will talk about more later. Now, according to a UNICEF review, over half of the teachers teaching sex ed here haven't been properly trained. And the curriculum that does exist usually just focuses on the usual stuff like biology and all the scary consequences of sex. And there is zero talk about pleasure, boundaries, or communication skills. And we're seeing the real world impact of that. So right now, young people between 15 and 24 make about 70% of all new STIs in Thailand. We're talking huge spikes in syphilis and gonorrhea. On top of that, high-risk HPV is so prevalent in Thailand that cervical cancer is the second most common cancer for women here. Now, because school isn't teaching safe sex or the importance of early testing, kids are basically just turning to the internet and their friends to figure it out, just like most kids in the rest of the world. To give you an idea of how deep this physical disconnect goes, the lead sexologist at Dr. Clitoria Clinic told me that most of her female patients don't even know their own anatomy.
Again, my female patient, most of them don't know that female on the genitals, we have 3 holes. Yeah.
They don't know?
They don't know that we have 3 holes. They misunderstood that we only have 2 holes. They misunderstood that the urethra and the vagina opening is the same hole.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of women assume that they only have 2 holes, but instead, we have 3. And just to clear that up before the comment section comes for me, yes, us women have 3 holes. We have the urethra, which is for urine, the vagina for menstruation and penetration, and the anus. Now on the flip side, men are mostly just taught the mechanics of penetration. So they are completely in the dark about where a woman's actual arousal areas are. Since the school system is dropping the ball, just like most systems do, the clinical landscape is having to step up. Now, we're seeing this whole wave of sexual health experts and clinics trying to deliver care and education in cool, modern, stigma-free ways. I do want to add a really important piece of context here. So Thailand actually has a universal healthcare system. So for local Thai citizens, basic STI testing, HIV testing, and even preventative meds like PrEP are completely free through public hospitals. But there's a catch. Going to a public hospital often means longer wait times and zero privacy. And when society heavily stigmatizes sexual health, the last thing that anyone wants is to run in to their neighbor while waiting in line at a government clinic. And the stigma is even heavier for sex workers and the transgender community. Now, because of that, there are incredible NGOs completely dedicated to filling the gap. So there are organizations like the Swing Foundation, which stands for Service Workers in Group. I actually visited this one when I went to Thailand, and other specialized transgender clinics offer free STI testing, HIV care, and PrEP specifically for industry workers. Now, these places are often peer-led, meaning workers can get tested in totally safe, judgment-free zones by people who actually understand their lived experiences. When I did go to Swing, it was very welcoming. They had a clinic on one side that looked very private, stigma-free, and welcoming. And then on the other side, they had a pharmacy so you could pick up your medication. It looked like a well-running system. Now, for everyday locals who want that same level of absolute privacy and are willing to pay out of pocket, there are many private clinics that you can go to in Thailand. There are a few that I visited, such as the Pulse Clinic and Dr. Clitoria. Now, these places are completely modernizing access to care, making it approachable and confidential rather than shameful. So you walk in and it feels like a high-end wellness center, not a sterile hospital. Like Pulse Clinic, for example, when I walked in to their main branch in Bangkok, it looked like I was walking into some cool LGBTQ vibe speakeasy with a giant penis disco ball. Like it was cool. They had art set up. Like it wasn't your traditional clinic. It was really nice. It was beautiful. It was welcoming. It was cool. Like you kind of wanted to hang out there. They got great marketing. They even had the sign outside of their clinic talking about getting all your holes checked. So I really liked the aesthetics and also the humor that they incorporated into their marketing to make it fun for people to go get tested. And there are even clinics dedicated solely to men's health and sexual well-being. Here in Thailand, taking men's sexual health seriously is so important because with Thailand's massive tourist industry, taking proactive measures and practicing safe sex is the absolute best thing that you can do for yourself while traveling. And this also applies to traveling anywhere in the world, by the way. But with the staggering amounts of men traveling to Thailand, it's important. And these clinics provide it all. So Gab and I, my boyfriend, we actually visited Menscape in Bangkok, which is a premium clinic dedicated entirely to men. We went in specifically to look at their sexual health services. I was curious to know what they offer. And Gab did a full erectile functional health assessment. Not because anything is wrong right now, but prevention is key here. I mean, why wait for something to stop working, right? And the level of preventative care and professionalism was just outstanding. The urology doctors and the staff were simply amazing. Gab ended up being very healthy. Yay, like a few little minor things to work on, but nothing soul crushing. Things are, for the most part, are flowing nicely down there. The urologist asked us how's your sexual health going and so on, and gave us a few things to look out for, you know, when it's time to seek help. By the way, for my men, if you find yourself urinating very frequently throughout the night, it's time to go see your doctor. But yeah, so what I find is wild about these clinics in Thailand is how they lean into the country's booming wellness culture. So the owner at Dr. Clitoria shared with me that Thai people are beyond obsessed with wellness culture, and the industry is projected, I was very surprised when I saw this number, to hit nearly $59 billion. And you feel that everywhere. There are health and wellness clinics everywhere you go in Thailand for every price range. It's crazy. I mean, you walk into a clinic for a sexual health screening and you realize they are packed with literally any service you could ever need. So Menscape, for example, they don't just do ED treatments and hormonal optimization. They also offer full aesthetics, laser hair removal, and facials so guys can look and feel their absolute best. It's like a one-stop body for your entire body. And obviously we took advantage of that. So when Gab went for his blood test, I got him a facial, a full-on hydro rejuvenation facial. And it was the first time he ever got a facial like that. They used like machines and stuff and peel masks and everything. And he loved it. And he felt so good after. And I felt so good after just knowing that he felt so good. So yeah, it was a great experience. And the same goes for Dr. Clitoria Clinic. So she actually started out as an aesthetic doctor providing fillers and Botox and now has completely expanded her business. Now, speaking of Dr. Clitoria Clinic, I spent some time at her clinic as well. And by the way, her name is not actually Dr. Clitoria. I got in the habit of calling her that. That's the name of the clinic, and it's actually named after the Clitoria flower, which is what I learned. I didn't know there was a flower called Clitoria, in case you're wondering. Now, the founder, her name is actually Dr. Teen, is a general doctor and a clinical sexologist. So interestingly, she actually started this whole concept during COVID. So she was selling zero waste menstrual cups online. And you know, she had to create content online to market it and so on. But then she quickly realized people had no idea how to actually use them, which opened up her eyes to this huge lack of basic sexual hygiene awareness. So now her clinic covers everything from STI and high prevalence HPV care to the psychological sides of intimacy. So she was so gracious to take some time out of her schedule to meet with me, and I sat down with her for a full uncut interview with her So if you want to go watch the whole conversation, it's up on my Patreon page. The link will be in the description. So during our conversation, I asked her a lot of questions about what couples are coming in for, or what couples and individuals are coming in for. What are the main issues that they're dealing with in the bedroom or in their body that they're seeking help from a sexologist for? She explained that, Thai people are valuing sex in their marriages a lot more these days. And the number one issue she treats is desire mismatch, which was interesting because it's also one of the main things that we struggle here in the West. And in the Asian community context, which now I realize is not very different from ours, this usually looks like men having a high desire and women having lower desire, or sometimes zero desire. And, it leads to so many women sitting in her office and asking, like, is there something wrong with me? And this goes back to spontaneous desire and responsive desire. I did videos on that, but it was just really interesting to see that we are not alone here in the West. The whole world is dealing with this. It's an epidemic. And the advice that her clinic usually gives is that you have to locate your mutual desire together and find a compromise. And there's no magic number for how much you should be doing it. It all comes down to the communication. But the cultural pressure around all of this is heavy. Now, I learned that there is still a massive stigma against Thai women expressing their sexuality. So if a woman is seeking out sexual health services, society often labels her as being, obsessed or crazy about sex. Because of that judgment, Thai women are generally not comfortable talking about pleasure with their partners, even though, they're completely open about it behind closed doors with their friends. So how are people filling this education gap? Now, historically, because talking about sex is still very taboo, consuming it became the teacher, just like everywhere else in the world. Now, Dr. Teen confirmed with me that according to Pornhub's statistics, before the government decided to shut it down, which I'll get to, Thai people were watching massive amounts of pornography, with insights showing a very heavy preference for the Japanese genre, which if you look at the porn insights today, you will also see that Japanese genre is very popular globally.
Yeah, for Thai men, it would be like Japanese.
Hentai?
Japanese. Not hentai, because hentai is like anime, like a cartoon porn, right? But usually what is very popular in Thailand is Japanese category.
Okay.
Yeah, like we have an AV Star Expo here in Thailand too. It's like a public event that they have the AV porn star come and have like a fan meet.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why it's very popular in Thailand.
And so that's basically what happened. Porn essentially became the default sex ed class. And as we know already, that can deeply skew your expectations around what pleasure, performance, and communication should actually look like. But here is where it gets really interesting. Now, remember I mentioned that Pornhub is no longer available in Thailand? Well, in November of 2020, the Thai government cracked down and officially banned over 190 porn sites, including the major ones. With the school system dropping the ball and their default internet access to porn heavily restricted, where are everyday Thai people actually supposed to go for education? Now, this exact question is why the work that Dr. Teen at Dr. Clitoria Clinic and others in her position are doing is so incredibly important right now. So they're basically stepping in to fill a massive void. Now, Dr. Teen at the Clitoria Clinic, she has a huge following on TikTok and YouTube, mostly made up of women, and she specifically uses her platforms to safely normalize these conversations. And we're also seeing a huge rise in Thai creators taking sex ed into their own hands. Like there's this massively popular YouTube talk show called I Can Teacha, hosted by Teacha Can Teacha, and she is actively breaking down the cultural taboo by openly talking about sexual health, pleasure, and relationships to hundreds of thousands of subscribers. She almost has 1 million. She's very popular in Thailand. So yeah, I mean, the landscape here in Thailand is just this like wild mix of traditional cultural pressures, government censorship, and incredibly modern clinical care. But if there's one big takeaway that I'm gonna take away from these conversations that I've had and these things that I've learned on this topic in part 3 of this video, is that despite the vastly different cultural wrap, the core human experience is exactly the same. So the bedroom experiences couples are struggling with in the East and Thailand, like desire mismatch, communication gaps, the pressure to perform, are all the exact same issues that we are navigating back in the West. So we're not that different after all. And at the end of the day, prioritizing open communication and safe exploration is just a universal need no matter what hemisphere you live in. So I just want to remind you, make sure to check out the Patreon for the full interview at the Dr. Clitoria Clinic. And you will definitely want to stick around for part 4 because I'm going to dive into a topic that will probably make a lot of you feel uncomfortable and probably cause a lot of debates and backlash in the comment section. But we are going to tackle the stereotypes of the foreigners in Thailand. So the creepy old men trope and unpacking the reality of the passport bros culture. So you won't want to miss that one. I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Je vous aime.